Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the opinions of creations coloring activity right here. As you see right here is a number of things that I would include right here. As you see right here, it's like a bridge right here that I would do, say a highway, like a highway, road right here, like say traffic right here. I would include right here. It's like I think. Some type of truck. I guess we see maybe a diesel or some type of high over say 18 or say 8-wheeler it is, and along with the it's like a say other types of cars of traffic that will be crossing the bridge right here, and you have right here is a river, and along right here is like they say a shopping center, and then right here is like we hand you an example right here is like a museum. And basically with most of the time anybody may think about that we all have our own opinions, of course, and I was just thinking about the ideas for what I want to use so far as everybody has their own opinions about what they like and what they don't like, stuff like that. And a lot of times anybody that may tend to ask the question to where if you don't like something, then why don't you like it? They may say that, well, what's wrong with you? Like, you don't like it, but anyway, but talking about right here between opinions of creations, and there could be maybe a number of ways of how to explain opinions. So like anybody that may say that if they're looking at something, or if they were to be watching something, their way of how they want to learn something, or or maybe do something it is, and if it's going to be maybe their own way of shopping, and then the way that they like to wear clothing, stuff like that. But anyway, talk about say opinions of creations. I would hit an right here is like details right here. It's like for like a bridge, and of course, like say with the city, and anybody that may wonder, like if anybody were to give you like a piece of a sketch paper, it is, or if it's anything that any time that you may spend like on they say on a Photoshop or like Illustrator, it is basically that. If Photoshop, or if it could be like you say Amarin, say for Telegon design, or some program like that on the computer, it is. If you're familiar with any type of creative design programs, it is basically that if you were to create like details like this right here, which I would have started out right here. You have right here is like a riverboat right here, and just like use like say a black marker right here to kind of draw in the outlines right here. If this was like say a queen, it's like the river queen boat. I can remember that over there at the Missouri River, a lot of times that you would see like what's called like river boats. A lot of times it would look kind of like this right here, to where that they will be on say the shore, say of the river, like Casino Queens or something like that. A lot of times they would be like river boats, with queens and stuff like that, and they would like say the casino boats. And I tell you anybody that whenever I was a kid, of course, that if I can remember right, we went on a boat ride, but it was only for maybe about 20. If I can remember right, we for like a boat ride where they had like say boats, they would be sailing on a river, and a lot of times anybody that may say that besides like maybe a story is if you went from state to state, a lot of times that they would have bridges to where that whenever they were built that they would be crossing the river. And a lot of times with anybody that may say that really that bridges that knowing about that it comes to that joke to where why did the sea go fly across the river or something like that. But anyway, but knowing about why do you want to know what's on the other side of the river or something like that. But on the other hand, anybody that may think about like with a lot of times with most rivers and besides other than lakes, so that more likely for what's on the other side, that river could be connected to like say the flows, the river that flows. If I can remember right, for the Mississippi River, I think flows from the east, I think from the north to the south, something like that. Up. If I can remember the directions between see here that the Mississippi River between Minnesota and of course parts of St. Louis, Missouri, and along with the parts of say for Texas, places like that. Like I know that it runs between that, besides let's say the Missouri River and like maybe the like the Potomac River, other rivers of course that may flow in between states to states and different cities though, and a lot of times that we may wonder that between Kansas City and maybe Illinois and St. Louis, Missouri. I'm wondering though that I think that between Kansas City and maybe Kansas State that they may have like say kind of like a bridge that crosses between I don't know about I can remember right. I think that one bridge is I think that goes between maybe Chicago and between Chicago and along with not I don't think it's like not Kansas, but anyway, I think it's between St. Louis or parts say between Chicago or something like that, someplace like that. But anyway, but you have bridges to where that they cross in between like say lines of a traffic though. That if you're gonna be, I remember that my parents and I like that. Yeah, we used to. A lot of times used to go on a lot of road trips, like say the St. Louis Zoo. We used to that bridge that used to cross, I think, over the Missouri. I think one of them, if I can remember right, was called the Daniel Boone Bridge, and then the other one was called, I think, the Riverfront. They say the highway. There was the Highway 115 bridge. Of course, that they demolished those a couple of years ago. A few bridges that they built, and then they wound up taking them down because of infrastructure, they were too old or something like that. But anyway, but adding a detail right here of like say if there was cars, crossing this highway bridge, say over the river, and a lot of times anybody who's doing any type of artwork, it is that a lot of times that they want to go ahead and maybe put like these shadows right here. But anyway. I can maybe spend hours on this, adding in different details such as maybe at least 25,000 different examples, such as what I want to add to this color picture right here, such as say like right here is the bridge, and then I went ahead and add right here is like a shopping mall right here, and like you have these these big windows that. That you got the museum. Actually, the shopping mall would be about right here. But anyway, I would introduce this example right here of like a museum, and with the museum right here that with this museum it could contain like what you call a famous person, such as a writer or maybe a president or somebody like that. That say the aircrafts at museum or some museum like that. But on your hand too, that knowing about with the most opinions, though, that we may think about which side of the bridge, do we like better? So far as this, from how this bridge is drawn right here, if this one will be like, if it went from like, the northeast to the southwest or something like that, that if you have like these two different sides of the bridge right here, it's like for the river. And anybody that may say that by the time you're going if it's westbound and then you connect to across the river right here, and then you would go to the shopping mall. I'm like anybody that may say that if you want to go ahead and add some details right here like for the shopping mall, but then this right here though, that anybody that may wonder about that so far as anything artistic such as maybe 3D 3D effects or anything like that, anything that you may want to use for like digital copy and print or something like that. Which one do we like better? On the other hand too, that knowing about besides for digital print though, that with most of the time that anybody that may say that really, if you were to if your job, of course, if you get a job one of these days where if you were working with a program, and let's just say that that not only create what you think the city would look like, but if it was anything that was related to the fact about that you're supposed to draw, you're supposed to use these tools or something, on a certain program to draw the details of the building, the name of the building, and then for whatever that they're talking about, like maybe all like on a news headlines, newsletters or anything like that. But anyway, though, a lot of this stuff, of course, is I went ahead and came up with, but let's just say that if this was actually a real location, though, that a lot of times anybody would probably think about, like with me, though, that I may have maybe some hard times at knowing about that. one of my difficulties could be is like maybe I didn't spell the city or the bridge name right. That the bridge has a name. The bridge flows. The bridge was built in let's just say seven. See, the year could have been, maybe, that the bridge could have been under construction in 1917, year 1917 or something like that, what year the bridge was built, and then if there's any type of news headlines that talks about the bridge. But anyway, but right here is that, I'm going right here is use of black, but the way I went ahead and drew like parts of this river right here is just like, is just like these dots right here to where that if I were to just just slightly press on the river right here, and then it would show like what you call like between a far distance and a near distance, you say, of the river. That if most of us would probably think that hey, I might that they usually use the blue color, for like the water, for the river. If you want to go ahead and give it like maybe some 3D effects or anything like that, but on the other hand, that anybody that may think that well, if you want to go ahead and maybe add some birds flying, a lot of times you may see a few birds out say on the river, and a lot of times so that the things that I usually see whenever I used to go by the river is knowing about that a lot of boats, and then the things that you normally see, because anybody the way I remember, I crossed the river a couple of times, whenever I was going places, of course, with my family, it was traveling, and knowing about that we would be going, whenever, if we were traveling anywhere out of town, maybe to like St. Louis, a lot of times that we would be traveling on a bridge, going over the bridge it is, and a lot of times though that you're talking about that if we would be coming in from a direction from like see here, if I can go ahead, I'll go ahead and draw an example right here of a car. Go ahead and use like say a light blue, but let's just say that if we were coming in, a lot of times the lanes of traffic, like that they're usually about maybe 15 feet or so apart from each other. But let's just say that if we were about right here, it is, if we were going on that highway bridge, if we were like say the two lanes, it's like one side, the lane of traffic going, flowing from the west, and one going from the south to the west or something like that. Two lanes of traffic, but when we would be driving, that a lot of times that notice that within about I would say within 5 minutes, and a lot of times that we would be across the bridge. It's like the bridge, whenever you look at it, sometimes it seems like that a lot of times though that whenever you go across the bridge, a lot of times knowing about maybe how strong it is of talking about that whenever you're going across the bridge, you feel any bumps. It's like with these for how the deck area is like for like how the bridge is designed. It's like for the infrastructure it is, for how it's designed. Do you remember any bumps or anything that's related to like being afraid to go across the bridge? I'm like I never heard of that story though, but I'm sure it may have been talked about, knowing about anybody who designed the bridge, and knowing about how strong it is, and knowing about who wants to go across the bridge just to see how strong it is or anything like that. And I'm like like just like maybe a water slide. Anybody that may say about that if they were afraid to get on a water slide, then a lot of times though that if they are afraid of water or afraid of doing so, like I talk about who will be the first one to cross the bridge, and a lot of times anybody may say that within a few seconds you're across the river. I'm like that if anybody has had their fear about that, maybe if it's anything to do with paragliding, or if it's anything to do with skiing, or if it's anything to do with surfing, stuff like that a lot of times that it looks pretty scary, like a Ferris wheel. If anybody has ever been afraid to get on a Ferris wheel before, or maybe a roller coaster ride, that especially if you're going to be turned upside down. I'm like that I don't know. I'm sure there may be bridges around maybe all around the country. There's probably different designs of bridges. So there's probably different designs. I don't know of one to where it will allow somebody to where that they can go upside, like I talk about, like I said, the upside down cover, anything like that that allow you to go upside down to where that they give you like on the car that has like the ability to where you can go upside down. But I'm like anything, any type of ride that allows you to go upside down or something like that. But anybody probably say about a lot of times that that's like a safety precaution. But anyway, but talk about right here is like with the bridge though, that a lot of times with the bridge though, that pretty much what I'm saying though is that anybody that may have their own opinion, and I'm sure that everybody does have their own opinion about the fact of the matter is that what side of the bridge did they like better? Which side do they like best? And I can go ahead and add, like I went ahead and add like here is like some vehicles that do is like say a bicyclist right here, and then if this was like a museum, and like a lot of times in most museums, I've been into quite a few of them too, and quite a few of them, and I know that a lot of them do have like what you call like a security guard, which they got like a security now in most places like museums, that like the museums maybe in like Chicago, or if it's in Illinois, or maybe Washington D.C., or maybe Des Moines, you say Iowa, places like that if you have it to where that you have like say a security guard, you have right here is like a patrol truck right here, like you got a patrol truck right there, and I'm like and then I go ahead and if I were to add some people, I'm like I like say if there was a security guard right here. With most almost all museums are going to have like some type of security guard and like any type of a patrol person, just to make sure I'm like everybody's safe and all on your hand too. If I like anybody probably think about like it when you add people, I'm like add people to your activity, and knowing about if anybody's opinion will probably say that this city is not the same if you don't add people. If they're just like what you call little midge or stick people, or I'm like, well, I can go ahead and take the extra time to go ahead and add, like you say, some examples of people right in here. If it's going to be kids or something like that, inside the background, I'm like, that they're not the same. I can tell anybody here that since the picture I'm drawing right here is pretty small to where I'm trying to draw that detail in there, such as the details of the parking lot right here, but anyway, that anybody that may wonder about if they're going to be going visiting somewhere, and then let's just say coming from out of town, and let's just say that they're going to be coming to that point where that they're visiting someplace, and then they see a shopping mall, that they're the way I went and drew this, that I would say that the museum would be about maybe 8 miles or so from the river, but kind of close. But let's just say if it was not too far from the river, let's say there was a bridge right here and along, let's say with the museum, and I went and drew the museum right there, so that way we all can see it. But let's just say that you got right there is the museum, but then right here is like the shopping mall, and anybody probably think that if you're going to draw people in there, go ahead and draw quite a few, but I'm like, that especially like on the weekends, that there's going to be a lot of people coming in and out of the shopping mall, and anybody that may say that like with most professionals, that they would at least get the mall name, and people maybe with handbags, like if they were coming in and out of the mall, especially on the weekends, that there will be a lot of people there shopping and driving in and out. I'm like, I try to draw a car that's pulling out or something like that. I'm like, that's driving, say in the parking lot and getting ready to pull out, something like that. So it's like, that picking up somebody, or like if there was like I can maybe go ahead and use other colors other than black, but anyway. But your hair right here is like the details right here, so other people, and I can if I was working with like Photoshop or Illustrator, programs like that, then I can maybe I could possibly add about maybe 300 pieces, and then had to organize it instead of like in layers or things like that, like talking about give it put them in groups. If most of us have used like Photoshop before, put these in groups, and anybody that may say that if they had any practice with like Photoshop and a lot of things that maybe you could do if you want to go ahead and create like what it calls like if it's like maybe like if it's anything related to like a motif, or if it's like anything to do with any type of design or anything like that of any type of name for it that for like creating a theme or something like that for like a scene from a city. Though if it's like anything to do with a bridge crossing the river, if it's anything to do with like a museum around town, they say that in the Empire Guardian say museum, the space museum, the space shuttle museum, space museum or something like that, or I mean that the money goer, Tutorian or something like that. Anybody that may wonder that they have a museum out there, out all over the country for almost everything else, and I'm wondering if they're gonna maybe have a museum open for like history about money, money from maybe other countries that go on display. And I'm sure anybody that may say that I'm sure that they are around, but about how the money was spent, back those thousands of years ago, how the Egyptians, or like what the Egyptian money may have looked like, that they may say that that they may not have been coins at the time. They may have been like what you call the pagode ships or something like that. They were made out of leaves or whichever it is. But anyway, any type of museum that explains about the type of money that they had. But anyway, you have right there is the lane of traffic right here. Let's just say if there's a car right here going westbound and one going eastbound, stuff, something like that. But anyway, but you have right there is the details I went and drew right there. It's like for the people, and then you have right here is maybe a few windows right here, and maybe details right here at the rooftop, for the shopping mall, stuff like that. Anybody may like talk about it for their own opinion about stuff, and basically talk about go visiting, knowing about, check what time it is, and basically that looking at like with the like between the zooming in and zooming out options it is, but basically though that with everybody's own opinion about which shopping center do they like better, which side of the river do they like better, stuff like that. And like with anybody that may say that they actually like the West Coast better, is not too much traffic, stuff like that, or they may say that going to that the Northeast, the Governor Mall, Governor Mall or something like that, because over there at the Baskin Mall, that prices. Anybody may say that place is too crowded, plus that the prices. It's too expensive over there at the stores, compared to the other mall. But anyway, whenever people do shop for some certain thing, especially at the mall, though, that if you're going to have kids, and I'll go ahead and use like maybe like a pink, the pink marker right here. Go ahead and draw like say some examples of of little kids, though, that if they'll be going to the mall and going into like the toy stores, going into like say the toy stores, and then they go ahead and do some of their shopping, and maybe shop at the food court, or if it's anything that's related to like the clothing stores, or maybe the arcade. Anybody that may say about a lot of the kids more likely that would be their favorite place to go. It's like besides the food court, it's like if there's like say an arcade, they will want to go into the arcade and play games. That was one thing I like doing over there at that place. It's like besides the Chesterfield Mall, there was the Mid Rivers Mall that I can remember to go in there and I like to play in the games and stuff like that. And I could tell anybody here that those games, though, that if I can remember right, that I think they were about $1 a piece, something like that. That it's like about, I would say about maybe $1 a piece, something like that, just to play a game. And you're talking about that the games, and if I can remember right, that if I remember right, you would or win tokens whenever you if you were to beat a level inside the game. It is a lot of times that you would you had it to where you would win tokens, and a lot of times there were those tokens that you would be able to win prizes, stuff like that. And anybody that may say about, well, over at Chuck E. Cheese's, and over at Chuck E. Cheese's, I've only, if I can remember right, only one time. I was only at Chuck E. Cheese's only one time, and I can remember that going there for the first time, that I thought it was pretty fun. But a lot of that stuff, they probably say that a lot of that stuff is mainly for for kids. But Chuck E. Cheese is a kid where a kid could be a kid or something. That may have been a Burger King commercial. But anyway, but talking right here of talking about, say, the details right here is like for the river, and I can go ahead and use right here is like a gray, add a couple of marks right here. It's details for the river, and then of course right underneath they say the bridge that crosses the river. That details can probably go on and on about whatever I can maybe talk about. But anyway, anybody that may say about so far as opinions of creations of knowing about that somebody else that likes something that you may not like, and a lot of time, like, what part of the river do you like better? What side of the river? It's like talk about the bridge that crosses from two different states. That there's quite a few of them. Maybe I can think of, but if there's between Nebraska and then along with Utah, or if I can remember right, two different states that have bridges that cross between whichever river and whichever if it's going to be a lake or a river or something like that. Most of them were like rivers, but like say the Potomac River, that I think that that goes between between Washington D.C. and Arlington, Virginia. I think there's quite a few bridges. I think, and anybody that may say about between San Francisco and California, they're like the Golden Gate Bridge, bridges like that they cross. Say between states, and they may cross between different counties, and most of the time that we may say that. Whenever we go across the bridges, though, that knowing about that, hard getting used to the fact about that whenever you cross them, that you're in a different state, or you may be in a different part, say, of the county, though. And anybody better think about it. It's kind of neat, though. But what's your opinion about that? Yeah, exactly. One state could be a little bit cheaper. There may be some things like fireworks. There may be some things like fireworks that could be illegal in one state. Such as if you buy something, and anybody that may say about that if you buy something at some store here at this shopping mall, and then you cross the bridge, or across the river, go into this state, and this state could be like St. Louis, and they may say that if you bought this from that shopping mall here, and then over here it's illegal. You can buy it and then I guess bring it, but then they say that there may be some states that they say it's illegal to have it there in that state. You can't use it though. But anyway, all kinds of rules and stuff like that. About between which state is state and state. Like talking about that. Yeah, well, about the state right here. That knowing about with the state though, that a lot of times that they usually say that one state tells me that my credit score has to be at least 400% or greater, and then the other state says it has to be about 200 or maybe 500 or so, 500% greater. Other than that, like talk about if you get told two different things or something like that from state to state. But on the other hand too, that knowing about that with the details right here. For the queen, you go ahead and right here for the boat. But anyway, I can probably go on for hours about this activity right here, because knowing about the types of details maybe I would like to use for the river, and then along with with the boat right here. But anybody, I'll probably say to anybody though that if you want to go ahead and get some practice with creating, it's so far as drawing something, and then details about what you would like to what you can imagine about the Scythian state, to talk about your bridge. It's so far as getting your ideas for creations about what you'd like to do. Talk about that creating something, but such as opinions about knowing about that if you were to you know anything working with ceramics or anything like that, and then working with like you say programs such as Illustrator, or if it's InDesign, or if it's anything to do with creative marks or something like that, or if it's anything to do with any other type of scrapbooking software or anything like that. But so far as our opinions, though, is knowing about, with most of the time, anybody that has their own opinions about stuff that a lot of times it's like, hey, why don't you like it? Anyway, why don't you like this? But other than that, I talk about here so far as your opinions for creations coloring. Well, hello everyone. I talk to you right here is like for opinions of creations that most of us have seen, from the coloring it is. And basically, that anybody that may say that that if you're going to be talking to a few people that may like something a little bit better than the other thing, then you may have a little bit of the opposite opinion, that we may think about, like that you may know some people that may like ketchup and mustard maybe on their lasagna, and people say that, I don't like that, or anything like that. Any other type of food recipes that people may say that they don't like this or they don't like that, and then maybe you may absolutely love it, stuff like that. But anyway, that with anybody that they some people that may even say that they like cold pizza or they like cold tacos and but on your hand too, that knowing about our opinions though, that from how we view stuff, and with anybody that may say that you may look at something as really hard or quite complicated, such as trying to draw the details right here of, like, say if it's a museum, or if it's a shopping mall, or if it's any type of food court or anything like that. But just knowing about what's the best ways of how to handle situations such as somebody that liked the movie, somebody that did not like the movie, or somebody that don't like this, or the other person liked it, but then this person don't, and in a lot of ways, though, that really, like, so far as talking about, if everybody's going to like something that maybe somebody sees or somebody does or something like that, and it's possible that maybe not everybody is going to like it. And on the other hand, that we may say that everybody needs to have manners. Everybody needs to have some type of respect and manners of knowing about that. Well, if you don't like it, then that's just too bad. You're gonna have to act like you like it, or something like that. And but the way I would think about, though, that like with anybody, that you may not like something right away, or that something that may just not come in just to that something to that person right away or something like that. But really about that. Like anybody that may say that between if they like music, or if they like art, or if they like anything to do with a scientific maybe experiment, anything that may interest them, though. And the way I would think about with most doctors would probably say that you can maybe ask them. I'm like, well, really, what are you good at? Maybe, or if it's anything to do with what the things that you do like. And there may be some things that people do like out there, like talking about like anything that they like to eat, and then maybe anything that they like to watch, and then somebody else that may say, how can you stand? I'm like, how can you stand drinking this or eating this or watching this? And I can maybe think of an example also is like something such as maybe Tarzan, if anybody, or I don't know about Scooby-Doo, but like Tarzan, if anybody likes watching the TV show, maybe, or the movie like Tarzan, or if it's any other type of morning TV show, that quite a few cartoon TV shows that came on, like say the Mighty Ducks, or if it's Pokemon, or anything like it's like Dora the Explorer, any type of TV shows that come on. And a lot of times anybody that may say about this is boring, or this is not my interest, whichever it is. And some people that between like cooking lessons, or if it's anything to do with getting on their smartphones, the tablets, anything like that, and that people that there may be people out there that may like reading articles, scientific ignition articles or something like that, and then they may like to read stuff, and then the other person may not like to read stuff. But on your hand that really that anybody may say about, yeah, well, you can't satisfy everybody, because on your hand too it's like, oh man, why, I could, but drive me crazy. But anyway, but so far as talking about with that, satisfying everybody, knowing about it, so far as everybody's opinion, I guess is it quite normal for everybody to have their own opinion between and having them come up to an agreement for who all likes this or who all likes that, or just maybe a few people or none of the people that like this or like that. But on the hand too, that knowing about is like really that from everybody's opinion, yeah, everybody's going to have their own opinion about something. But then on the other hand too, that knowing about that really that is everybody going to have that type of knowledge of knowing about that really about how important something is knowing about teaching them between important and maybe something that's not so important, and then on the other hand too, to know about the things that maybe that they would need to do because it's required, or something that they may have to take care of, stuff like that. But there may be some things that we may say that we have our own opinion about what we experienced and what we worked with, but on your hand too, that knowing about really almost everybody's going to have their own opinion about some things. But then really, if there's a time where there's not going to be anybody that don't have an opinion about something, then it's possible that, well, then they didn't do it. They're just going to say that, well, I chose not to participate, and if I can remember right, that yeah, one of those things that a lot of times anybody probably say about what's your opinion about what you hear about this article, this topic, or if anything that was related to maybe camping or Boy Scouts, or if it's anything to do with maybe artistic media or something like that. That there may be some things that I may not want to do that they ask you to do, or something like that. But on your hand too, the way I think about it, though, that would say with most of our opinions, though, that I guess it's basically feedback from this, from our, from this, that person, such as like me or anybody that knowing about their opinions about what they think about things, and then what they like, and then but on your hand too, that with everybody's own opinion is just knowing about that we're all going to have our own likes and our own dislikes, but just knowing about that I'm sure that everybody can all come up to an agreement for what they would like to do and what they don't want to do, whatever that they can work out later on. But other than that, just knowing about keep in mind about the more things that maybe you do like, that maybe that could possibly come to the point, like knowing about that that like this is what I could do. But other than that, I talk right here so far as for say for the opinions of say for the opinions of creations, say with the coloring activity.